Hello and welcome back. In this video, we will be discussing loops in PHP. You have to note that loops are a fundamental concept in programming and allows us to execute a set of instructions repeatedly. Okay? Yes. Let me just get rid of this file here. So we create another file to explore some knowledge regarding loops in PHP. Okay. All right. Let me pull out some few comments here. Loops in PHP. Okay. So in PHP, there are several types of loops that we can use. Okay. And in this video, we will be exploring them. Okay. So let's dive in. Firstly, let's discuss what we call the while loop. Okay, let's discuss the while loop. Now, the while loop is used to execute a block of code repeatedly as long as a specified condition. Okay, so let's say that it is used to execute a block of code repeatedly, okay, as long as a specified condition is true. You get it? Okay, so here is an example of how to use a while loop in PHP. First of all, let's declare a variable called num and let's set it to 1. So this is what we call we are declaring the variable, and on the fly we are assigning a value to it like that. Okay, all right. So now that we've been able to declare this variable and then giving it this value 1, let's now see how to actually implement the while loop in PHP. So we are going to just say while. Okay, while. Okay, it's a keyword. It's a keyword in PHP, right? While into bracket, then we make a reference to the num variable at the top here. You get it? Okay, now we say that less than, then we say equal. So let's print up to 10. Okay, now let's go outside the bracket and open a curly bracket and then say echo num. Okay, echo num, and then let's just say that whilst whatever is being printed out is ongoing, let's just pull out that there should be some break in between the various outputs so that we can have a proper view or presentation. Okay, now that we've been able to say that, okay, print whatever that is we are supposed to print, let's say that we need to increment. So num plus plus. Let's terminate this one here. Okay, and let's terminate this one here. Okay, now so in this example, we are just trying to use a while loop to print out the numbers from 1 to 10. That is essentially what is going to happen. So this here is the condition. Okay, whatever that expression that we have inside the brackets here is the condition. Okay, so we are checking whether the variable num is less than or equal to what? 10. So the code inside the loop will continue to execute as long as this condition here is true. So immediately it becomes false, the loop would have to what? Stop. Okay, now let's save this file and then go to our browser, and then let's change this one. This is from the last session. Let's change it to loops.php and see what we are getting. So you can see that we've been able to print out 1 through to what? 10 with the help of what? The while loop. So anytime this condition is checked and it is true, it goes to print this one, then it will increment this variable here to what? 2. So for the first time it runs, okay, it prints out, then it goes to check the condition again. Okay, indeed the number here is what? Still less than 10. Then it will come and print this one here. It will print the number and it will now increment it towards 2. Okay, then it continues like that through towards 10. So immediately this num here becomes let's say becomes what? Becomes 10. It means that the condition here is now what? False, and so therefore the loop would not continue again. If we fail to bring this incremental part, now this is actually incrementing this num variable here from 1 to 2 to 3 like that anytime the loop is running. So if we fail to bring this thing here, there will be what we call an infinite loop, and we don't expect that. I mean, that is not what we want. So the rule is that whenever you are implementing a while loop, you have your condition in the bracket like so. You make sure you bring your while keyword, you open bracket, then you specify your condition, okay, then you actually define the block of code that would execute in this loop. Then you make sure that the last thing you do here is to increment the counter variable. Okay, so this is actually the counter. All right, good. And that is it about the while loop. All right, so let me just go ahead and comment out this one. Next, let's discuss the do while loop. Okay, do while loop. Okay, so the do while loop is similar to the while loop, except that it will execute the code inside the loop at least once, even if the initial condition is false. All right, it will execute the code inside the loop at least once, even if the condition initially is false. Okay, so let's go ahead and say that we have some examples to work with. Let's again say we have a num variable. Okay, let me just declare it once again, num, set it to 1, and then say we have the keyword do, then we open brackets, curly braces. Okay, curly brackets, do you get it? Good. Now we say that echo num, then let's just concatenate this break tag here like that. Make sure it is terminated. Now we increment the num variable like so. So this plus plus means that increment it stepwisely from 1 to 2 to 3 to whatever number that we have. Okay, this is what is essentially happening. So whenever you see this plus plus, there's just what we call the increment operator. So let me just go ahead and terminate it. All right, now the last part we have to do inside or do with this do while loop is that here we need to specify the condition. So we say do this thing, do whatever that is here once whilst the num variable is less or equal to 10. As simple as that. Do whatever that is inside of this loop here, or this in between these curly braces here, do it whilst the num variable here is less than what or equal to 10. So let's go ahead and save this file and go back to our browser and refresh, and essentially we are getting the same output. Okay, we are getting the same output just as we had for the while loop. Okay, just as we have for the while loop, we are using the do while loop to achieve the same purpose. So we are saying that the do while loop would execute this part of the code at least once, even if this condition here is false. Okay, it will execute it at least once before it goes ahead and check the condition, and it moves in that order. So this is the syntax for implementing a do while loop in PHP. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to look at, comment this ones out. Let's move ahead to look at the for loop. Okay, for loop. Now the for loop is used to execute a block of code a specified number of times. Okay, for a specified number of times we use the for loop to execute a block of code. So let's see how to actually implement that with an example. So I'm just going to say that for, okay, and I'll say that dollar. I'll say we have I. So let's say that this will be our counter variable. Okay, so we can actually have a meaningful variable. Let's say counter. We set it equal to 1. So we are saying that our counter should start from 1. Then we say the condition now be the counter should be less than or equal to what? 10. Now let's terminate this part, and now let's say that counter plus plus. Okay, now whilst we've been able to, as we've been able to pull out this syntax, and let's say that echo counter, and then let's just concatenate some break tag like that, so we see what is going on. Let's make sure that this file here is safe. Let's go back to our browser and refresh. We are getting the same output. So let's say that for you to actually see the difference, let me just say this one should be less than 13 or 20. Let me go ahead and refresh, so you can see that it is able to print out 1 through towards 20. Okay, now so in this example we are using a for loop to print out the numbers from 1 to 20. Do you get it? The first part of the for loop sets the initial value of the variable. So this first part here is the initial value of this counter variable. It means that it should start from 1. Okay, so you can start from 0 like that. Whichever number that you want to start with, you can do that. Okay, now the second part specifies the condition. So this is our condition part. And the third part increments the variable counter after each loop or after each iteration. So whenever the loop is running, it runs for the first time, this part here will now increment this one here to 2 for the second time, the third time, through towards the 20th time, like that. And that is essentially what is happening under the hood. Okay, now let me just go ahead and comment this one and say that we are through with a for loop. Now let's discuss what we call the for each loop. For each loop. So we saw that in the previous video, but we didn't talk much about it. All right, so in this particular video, let's try to touch on it again and actually understand how the for each loop is implemented or used. Okay, now the for each loop is used to iterate over the element of an array. Normally the for each loop is used whenever you are working with arrays in PHP. That is when the for each loop is normally used. So here is an example of how we can use a for each loop in PHP. So let's say we have a fruit array, like so, and say that the first fruit we are having here, we want it to be apple. The next fruit, we want it to be banana. The next fruit, we want to be orange. And the next fruit, we want it to be mango, like that. Let's terminate this one here. And let's say that we now want to actually implement the for each loop on this given array. So how do we do that? We're just going to say that for each, then we open our brackets, and then we make reference to our fruit variable. Then we say as. Okay, now we are going to pull out the variable that we can make use of in order to print out this individual element, like that. So as fruit, okay, normally as fruit, so as fruit. Then we go outside the bracket and open a curly bracket. So we are saying that for each fruit, okay, this variable here, array variable, as a single fruit, okay, as a single fruit, go ahead and say that echo fruit for us, like that. So whilst you are doing that, just please put them on a different line for us, like that. That is the essence of this break tag here. Okay, I guess we are missing one curly braces, like that. Let's go ahead and save this one and go to our browser and refresh. So as you can see, we are having apple, banana, orange, mango. And that is how to use the for each. So this is actually the for each loop in action. Okay, this is the for each loop in action. All right, and that is practically it about loops in PHP. There are so many things that we can do with loops, and that's why initially we said that it is a fundamental concept that you need to have. It is very crucial that you understand how loops are used in PHP. It is very important. Okay, it is very important. Now before I close docket on loops in PHP here, let me go ahead and have another array that I would want us to work with. So let's say that the same fruit variable, fruit array, same fruit array, like so. Let's just say we have array, like that. Let's expand this one, and let's say we have a particular fruit. So let's say the name of the fruit to be mango. Let's say that the weight of this mango, we want it to be, let's say, 25 kg, and we want the price to be let's say 45. Okay, let's say the price is 45, like that. Let's make sure we terminate this one. Okay, now let's try to use a for each loop again to iterate over this array here. So this is actually an associative array, which is having what, a key and a value. So let's see how we can use this for each loop to iterate over this fruit associative fruit array here. Good. So I'll say for each fruit, as, then I'll say key. Okay, then I'll bring my operator equal to and then a greater than, like so, and I'll say value, like that. And then I'll go ahead and open a bracket, curly bracket, and say that echo the key, and then concatenate this one with a colon, and then concatenate the value as well for me. Whilst you are doing that, just put everything on a different line. So the essence of this break tag here, like that. Let's save this one here and go back to our browser and refresh. So as you can see, we've been able to use the for each again to print out the element within an associative array. You can use the for loop to do that. You can use a do while loop to do that. You can use the while loop to do that, and so forth and so on, like that. And yes, that is it for a video on loops in PHP. I hope that this video has given you, a very okay understanding, or a good understanding of the different types of loops in PHP and how to implement and use them, like that. If you have any questions or suggestions, again, please leave them in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and share it with others. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done that yet. That's only if you want to get notified of a new content or latest updates that we are going to put out on this channel. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and please make sure you give this video a thumbs up, okay? That way it helps the video to reach out to to be sent to a lot of people, for others to also benefit. Okay, so once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, I wish you a happy coding. Make sure you keep coding. Make sure you keep coding and stay healthy. Bye.